Welcome back to Break the Cycle, a space where we speak the truth, we shatter stigma, and we turn pain into purpose. Right now, over 1 in every 5 adults in the US, that's more than 57 million people, are living with mental health. Among them, nearly 7 million have been diagnosed with a bipolar disorder, a condition that often comes with a deep emotional challenge, but also profound creative power. Today, we are honored to welcome a woman who embodies that transformation. Artasia is a poet, content creator, teacher, graphic designer, founder of Hyper Art Creations, and a devoted mom. She's here to share her story, how she navigates life challenges while managing her mental health, and how she uses her voice and art to uplift and inspire others. This episode is going to be about resilience, creativity, and redefining what it means to live fully and freely despite the storms. Let's talk healing, let's talk hope, let's break the cycle together, and let's welcome Artasia. Thank you all for those of you that are joining today. Sometimes I do get to answer questions. Sometimes we're so focused in the podcast that sometimes we don't see the questions, but I really appreciate you joining today. We are bringing in Artasia. Let's see.
Hi.
Hi, good evening. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining me today. It's been a long wait. We've been talking, scheduling, and finally we are here.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I did introduce you a little bit as a mom, a creator. You do have a business. I want us to go straight into how are we breaking the cycle. I do have a couple of questions, but I want to get started with you telling us a little bit about yourself. I want you to tell me, when did you realize that there was something different, that you were seeing things a little bit different than what you would consider, I wouldn't say normal, because we're not abnormal. What I'm trying to say is, when did you realize that you needed help?
So it started when I lost my uncle back when I was in 5th grade. I was 9 years old. I didn't really understand death. I really, at that time, think everybody, was going to live, but he was the one closest to me at the time, and he passed away trying to go to the pros. I lost him. That was, the first person I was close to that I ever lost. And then I start to experience sadness more than I usually do. And of course, I didn't pay attention to it. I just like, okay, well, maybe that's what it is. But then I start to get older. I start to go to middle school, and I start to realize that I became more sad more frequently, most likely all the time. So maybe it was kind of like grief, and I didn't really know what it was. I'm young. I'm like, okay, maybe I have to just get over it. Then I go into high school, and I kind of take on a lot to try to hide the pain. I was still grieving. I was still missing him. And I realized when I got to sophomore year, that's when I was really struggling. I started to one day distance myself from social things I used to do. So I was in a lot of things at the time. I was in STEP, I was in dance, I was in STUCO, what they call student council.
Mm-hmm.
I start to step away from those things I loved. And when I did that, at the time my parents didn't understand everything because, they're working, they're trying to take care of us. I have 3 other brothers in the household. And I started telling my mom I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school anymore. I don't want to go anymore. And by that time I was hearing voices. I was hearing things what I thought were voices or really thoughts. That I just found out there were thoughts, things about things just randomly. I'm hearing them auditorily. I'm hallucinating. I'm seeing things I'm not normally seeing. And I'm 16. I'm just like, okay, well, this is very upsetting. I don't want people to see me. I'm ashamed. I'm gonna step away. I would like hide. I'll go the back way upstairs because I was in high school. So those things were embarrassing. So that's when my mom had to eventually take me to my grandma's house. It was things like that that I started noticing something's not right. And then the last day I remember is when my counselor called my mom and said Artasia's unresponsive or non-responsive. And from there, that's where they took control. So
When they mean non-responsive, do you mean did you faint? Were you just not interacting,
I stopped,
engaging with other people?
I stopped talking. I stopped
Okay.
socializing, and completely at that point I just stopped talking. I was so drained. I didn't know what I was going through, so it was just so tiring to me. My brain was tremendously tired, and I was staying up. I wasn't sleeping. My studies was not the same as it usually is, um, and that's when they knew something wasn't right.
When
They
you
called.
when you say that you were isolating, where did you have a group of friends? Were they checking up on you? Were they telling you that they noticed something different, or you
Um,
just
I wasn't interacting with them so for them to tell me. They probably didn't understand it at the time. I did have a couple of friends I was close to, but I could tell they noticed something, but they probably didn't know exactly what it is until I eventually told them. But I shied away from them, so it's like I avoided them. I avoided everything. So
so hearing voices and things that you noticed differently, that didn't start until you were in your sophomore year? Yeah. And was there anybody else in your family that had gone through the same thing?
just about. I don't know too much of my extended family that went down that path, but I've heard, one of my uncle's sons may have went through something like that, but I don't know to that extent. So
So
that's all.
when they call your family and they say our teacher is not responsive, what happened then? What happened? Did they take you to the doctor? Did they just take you home? Guide me to where did it go from there to
Um,
you being diagnosed?
So they tried to take care of me at home, but eventually it became something that I needed extra help in. So I was in the institution. They took me. I had a good, really resources through my high school that they knew somewhere to take me, and it was an inpatient institution where they help you. They help you figure out what's the problem, get you back going the way to your normal balance.
What was the length of time that you went into the institution?
The first time I went, I believe I stayed a week.
Okay.
At that time, I'm kind of in and out, so I won't remember everything. And so sometimes my mom had to talk me through it when I was in those episodes and when I came out of them as well, because I won't remember. It's kind of like a memory loss
Okay.
a little bit. So when I got back to myself and she's telling me, I'm kind of like, uncomfortable, and because I believe, she's telling me what I did, what am I experiencing, what she's seen me do, and it's at that time I'm kind of like going into my shell because I'm not used to that person. It's like they're talking about somebody else.
I see.
Yeah.
How are you able to take the shame from it? Because you're saying when your mom would tell you what happened during your episodes, you wanted to go into a shell. You were carrying a lot of shame and guilt of what they were telling you. So how are you able now to take that away, to take the shame from it of something that you are having to go through and turn it into what you want to do now, which is break the cycle?
For me, I believe I've seen so many people talk about it so much recently that I didn't realize how when I just come in contact with simple people and they will tell me like, hey, I would tell them my story and this is what I've been through. I was like, really? Like I know somebody that deals with this, or I'm dealing with this as well. It could be anxiety, it could be depression, it could be many things. And then I didn't realize one day, in my college time, I also went to the episodes. I eventually got on camera and on Facebook and posted it and just told what happened to me in high school. I was, it was something for me to have a release of, but didn't realize that the people and the peers that I was going to school with experienced the same thing. And I was like, wow, if I only knew. If I only knew at that time, I didn't have to be ashamed. I just needed to embrace what I was going through because I believed it was going to help somebody else. It's going to help maybe somebody next to me. It could have helped, somebody I come in contact with. So that's when I believed I started taking more shame off myself and embracing what I'm going through, because I just realized it's not just for me. It's for everybody to come in contact with. It could help their family members. It could help them. It could help their children. So when I realized that, I said, okay, maybe God gave me this test so I can help more than just myself. I can help his people and spread, the testimony of what I've been through.
There's
So
so much there's so much power when we share our stories, and then we realize that we were able to start our healing journey because somebody else also talked about it, or the people surrounding us were able to support us without judgment. And sometimes we go back and we say, man, if I had known that, the more that I would speak about it, the more fear I would let go, and the more shame that I would shatter, just speaking about my story. Back in the day, it was a little bit harder because people talked about mental health, but I remember it was more like somebody is crazy.
yeah,
And even the word saying crazy would make you feel like there was no way that anyone could relate to what you were going through. And there's a big difference between saying crazy than saying I have something that I need to work through, and it is under the umbrella of mental health, such as anxiety and depression, bipolar, and I mean, the list goes on. I'm not a doctor. Neither one of us is a doctor. What we're sharing here is only our stories, stories that can help somebody else if they're listening, if they're going through something, and maybe they can relate to what we're talking about. We are not advising anything. We are not talking about medications. The only thing that we're doing in here is sharing our story so that if there's one person that is going through the same thing, perhaps they can reach out to somebody within their family and they can ask for the support, or at least they find the power within their voice to continue to talk about it, and they don't isolate themselves, and they look for support.
yeah.
That's why we're doing this. I wanted to ask you, so we go back, you find out, they get you the help that you need. Your mom and you told me when we met previously that one thing that helps you the most is that you do have a support group within your family.
Yes.
They do check up on you. They make sure that you're okay. You do take medication. You also make sure that you're okay, not just for you but also for your baby. Tell us about that. How do you manage your healing journey with dealing with because of the, can you tell us what the disorder is?
Yes, it was diagnosed as bipolar with psychosis.
Okay.
That's what it's.
Okay. How do you know when you're about to get an episode? Like, are you aware or it just happens?
I'm aware. I'm now I'm more aware, but then I wasn't. I didn't have enough of I would say experience with what I was going through. But now, after many episodes and many research, I can tell. I can sense in my body something is about to change. And the first person I usually tell is my mom. And then she begins to start what she does with my family to help me, support me along the way. And then sometimes she puts me around my family to lift my spirit, my dad, my brothers, like they all love on me regardless of what I go through. And I'm really, really, really thankful for that because it really helped.
That's that's really wonderful that there you can say that when you feel that something's not right, you have a support system that is so important for somebody to understand what you're going through and to give you that helping hand, or just a shoulder to lean on.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And then what happens with your son? Like, let's say you're going through something, and you have to take care of your son. How does that change your whole routine?
For me, I haven't really went through a big episode with having my son back then that I didn't have him at the time because he's 2. But when I'm going through those certain changes, my mom kind of supports me by kind of putting me in a resting stage. And she kind of takes on a lot because she's a wife, she's a mother, she's a grandmother now. But she kind of helps see what I need. She always asks me, "What do you need right now?" And sometimes I can tell her, sometimes I can't. And I said, "Mom, I don't know what I need. I just feel this." She has really kind of helped me break down my emotions with how I feel and what I need, so I can kind of tell her, "Mom, I just need a shower. I just need to eat. I just need this. The baby has this, but I just need this, this, and this." So she starts by taking over what he needs, and then I just go and give myself what I need, and usually it starts from there. But baby steps. That's really, she just one step at a time is how she kind of trained me to kind of channel in what I'm going through, but not so too much to sit in it. Just do something about it so I can move on past what I'm feeling. So
That's pretty powerful. One, that you do have a support system around you. And number two, what you just said, that not to sit in
yeah,
it, right? To, you know, something's happening, you have the strategies and resources and the support system to help you get through it, but also not become a victim and not sit there, because it does get pretty dark when we just sit and we become, in our mind, we become
yeah,
helpless and we feel like we don't have a place to go, or we might feel that we don't have anybody to call. And sometimes it might feel that way because you don't want to be um, another responsibility to somebody, right? So it's important that within your support system, they also allowed you, or they let you know that they're there regardless, and that you're not bringing in more work, but they're there for you anytime that you need them. And that's really important. Um, I wanted to ask you, what is the one thing you wish people would understand better about mental health, especially the bipolar disorder? What is one thing you wish people know?
honestly, I wish people would know that as much as people think it's not normal, it is. We all have mental health, whether we have a diagnosis or not. Because when I really got a chance to sit and think about what I was experiencing, I had recently went to a vacation because I'm a teacher and I had a break, and I had this experience with this incredible person I got a chance to meet 3 years ago, and he talked to me. He was like, "I want you to look up what is depression. I want you to look up what is bipolar." And I started to do it and I felt weird. But when I realized what I defined what it is, it's a lack of interest from life. It's a lack of interest from things, who you are and what God gave you. I had no excuse. I had no excuse to have a lack of interest of life when God gave us everything we need. So I think I wish a lot of people won't sit into what you get diagnosed with, but pull out from the resource of what God gave you and replace it with everything that you feel like you don't have, and kind of take it and start from there. Start from giving yourself the things that make you happy. Things, when you're depressed, you have sadness. Give yourself happiness. What is the things that make you happy? Is it art? For me, it's art, dance, singing, being bubbly. So I have to push myself into what is and take myself away from what's not. So if I know that I'm pulling away from singing, dancing, then I know that I'm about to hit rock bottom. So I give myself what I am happy about, the joy of laughter and love and people. And that way I know I'm healing in the right direction. But when I'm not giving myself those things on a consistent basis, then that's when I realize that I'm losing everything. So, yeah,
Changing the mindset of a victim
yeah,
to a survivor,
yeah,
right? It's important to change that, not to take the diagnosis as someone that we aren't, but something that we have to work through.
yeah,
Not take the diagnosis and say, well, I'm depressed and I suffer from anxiety, so I'm going to make all the excuses on the world not to reach the purpose that was given to me,
yeah.
by God. And same thing with anything else that has to do with mental health. Um, I want you to tell me and talk to me about how are you able to take that change your mindset from victim to survivor, and then use that to fuel your creativity and do the things that you do. How are you able to do that? Let's say on any given day, you're feeling a little bit non-motivated, or you just went through an episode and you're coming back and you are tired, how do you are able to lift yourself up and say, I have to get out of here? Like, what are the things that you do?
Um, the things that I do, I start kind of making a little chart for myself. It has on it the things I can control. I saw that image somewhere, posted on social media, so I made my own chart. I said, okay, what I'm feeling, maybe how, who, what, when, where, and how. I learned it from my father. He kind of helped me kind of process it when I'm going through certain things. So I made my own chart to where I can make it easy for myself. I'm not writing too much, but I'm thinking about what I'm feeling. I'm feeling it. And I'm being honest with myself so I can change it, because if I hide it, then I'm not going to change it. So I start from how I feel. So if it's sad, I write sad. And then if it's, about maybe sad about what, if I don't know what, then I say, okay, we'll just scratch that. What am I going to do to replace this feeling? So maybe start by cooking. I like to cook, or I like to bake. I just kind of go back and do the things I like. So I take a walk. I listen to my favorite song. I spend time with my family. I put myself around the strength of people that have been through something that can kind of see it, but not going to address it. They're just going to want to see you happy. So that's my grandmother, that's my mom, that's my baby, that's my family, that's people I love. And that's when I noticed things start changing little by little. So I start from there.
Good. Um, let's see. Who is someone in your life that inspires you to keep going no matter what challenge you're facing?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Uh, I would say God, because from here, everything else comes, and without him, I wouldn't have been where I am now to tell my story. So whenever, I may sometimes think about what he brought me through, I push harder, 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 harder. And even when I want to give up, I want to quit, it's like, wow, if I quit now, like, just imagine how much more I can do. So I think God, definitely God is what inspires me to keep going, because I don't know where this is going to take me with my story or what I've been through, but I hope it takes me really far, so far where I can help a lot of people. So yeah.
Um, you just gave me goosebumps with that. When I think about, the support system, I sometimes they're there because they love us, and sometimes we feel like they don't really understand what we're going through, right? Because although we talk about it, it's at times really hard to put into words exactly how you feel. But the only connection that where I'm not afraid to be completely raw and authentic, and talk about what is bothering me or what brings me so much sadness, it's my direct talk with God. I think understanding, like you're saying, that we're here, he gave us a purpose and we're here, and no matter what challenges we go through, we have to complete that assignment that he gave us, right? And I think part of it is also sharing our story to uplift and inspire others, that no matter what you're going through, whether you do have a support system or you have not completely maybe gotten to the point where you have a close relationship with your faith, whatever that is that you have to keep on going, that somehow along the way you're gonna find reason big enough to help you, to get you inspired,
Yeah.
and to never quit. So thank you for sharing that. Now, what does breaking the cycle means to you in terms of your challenges? How do you think you're breaking the cycle within your family?
I think I'm breaking the cycle by starting with myself, because I realized that my generation before me, and there's a generation that will come after me. So if I start with myself, even if I don't know how to, I can go to somebody that does, or God will lead me to somebody who does and knows how to do it properly. So I think by starting with myself and recognizing things that I've learned, whether it's been through the experiences, whether the things I've by habits, starting with those curses or breaking those cycles of what I've done or learned from, and start from there and learning how to do them properly. So that way, when I bear more children, those cycles are already broken. And so if I don't start with me, and I start with, oh, they did that, that's why I'm this way, I will never break anything. So I believe starting with myself, breaking that cycle of, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. It could come from 60 generations back. It can come from 2. Whatever it is that may have been traumatizing, maybe just things that just need to be understood. Starting with that. And I know without a shadow of doubt, God will direct me. Whether I'm just saying, God, this is what I felt and I don't understand it, He'll lead those teachers. I've learned that life is a classroom. There are students around us all the time. Children, there's like plants, animals, they're always showing and teaching you something. So if you feel like you don't have that support, you have it. Whether it's your best friend that takes you in, whether it's your aunt, to be your mother, whether it's anybody, you have it. You have it. When you decide to not want to do anything alone, that's when you really can open up. Because I used to be a person where I want to do everything by myself. When I realized that my strength came from being able to allow others to help me. Because you're not strong by yourself. You're strong with a group. So when I learned that, my father taught me, you're strong. The table is strong because it has 4 legs, not 1. So when I learned that, I really understood what he was saying. And I was like, wow, I got to start asking for help. I got to say something so somebody can help me if I want to get better. And I did. I wanted to get better. I wanted to understand myself. I wanted to break things that may have not been right within me or with, what I've kind of grew up with. So in order to do that, it's about starting with myself.
Well, I can tell you that you're breaking the cycle just coming on a live podcast. This is your first time that you're doing it. I know you said you were nervous, but there was nothing to be nervous when you're speaking from the heart. So you're breaking the cycle by now having the courage to tell your story. A lot of people don't realize how difficult it is to just tell your story, period. And now having to come and be live when we can't change anything that we say, it stays here. There's no edit on this live. And you don't know any of the questions that I'm asking you. Everything is just your natural self and your thoughts answering. So you are breaking the cycle by doing that. You're breaking the cycle by finding the power within your voice to inspire others, if there's anybody else that is going through something very similar to what you're going through. If you could tell your younger self one thing about mental health, what would it be? Imagine, let's go back to maybe 6th grade, right? And think about the journey that you've already gone through from 6th grade to where you are now. If you could tell your younger self something, what would you tell your younger self?
I would tell her to keep going. Keep going. Yeah.
Why do you want her to keep going? What is it that she has? What's out there to look forward to?
She has a lot of power. She doesn't know in her voice. A lot of people thought I was quiet, so, which I am, but when I realized my own voice, I didn't know I can make a difference. So I'll just tell her to keep going.
Yeah. A while back, I did a letter to myself, and in that letter, there was a trend that was going on, and it would say, "What would you tell your younger self?" And my younger self and I met at a coffee shop, and I invited my younger self for a coffee. And I remember it took me a long time to write that piece because just the thought of seeing Elizabeth as a younger self brought me a lot of emotions, but also I thought I saw myself like the bigger sister of myself, the bigger sister that I wish I would have had. I am a big sister.
I have a younger sister, and I am that big sister to my younger sister. And I really wish I had an older sister to help me, to guide me, to support me. Coming back to this letter that I did to myself, I realized that back then I didn't I thought I was gonna give up. I didn't want to keep on going. And now that I look back of everything that I've gone through, I'm like you. I would tell my younger self, Elizabeth, don't give up. It might not look really bright right now. Everything is against you. There are things that you don't understand. It looks like you are against the wall. But if you just stick with life, keep on going, do not let anybody tell you that there's something that you cannot do, and you will see that you will inspire others with your stories. You will not find one person that is able to inspire others if they have not gone through challenges and pains and tribulations. Everyone that can stand up and tell their story, they can do that because they've gone through the pain. They know what it's like to be in the dark, and they were somehow able to come out and use their pain for motivation. And so I feel you. I see you. This is one of the reasons why I'm glad that we're doing this live, because you don't have to go so long back to see your younger self. It's like, why would why would you tell also the person that you want to become? You have to give yourself that talk of keep on going even where we are now, because there are days that are brighter than
Yeah.
others, right? And then we go through days that are darker than others, and somehow we have to find the little light that is within us to get up in the morning. Sometimes you have to find that little piece of light to say, why am I going to get up today? For you, perhaps your son. When you look at your son and you're like, I have to keep going, not just for Artesia, but also for my son,
Yes.
because you have a lot to give. And now you're not just responsible for you, but you're responsible for that baby,
Yes.
right? So all of us find something that will make us get up out of bed and that will keep us going. So now that you make me cry too, I want to ask you also, um, what is next for Artesia? Now you know your diagnosis, you have the resources that you need, you have an amazing family that supports you. Now, where's Artesia gonna go as a creative? What is your biggest dream, and and what would you want people to remember this life? What do you want them to remember about you?
um, I want them to remember about me, person that's trying to be there. So I have a lot of poetry and a lot of words that I never really spoken back then that I'm eager to push out now. So I have a book that I've been kind of sitting on. Um, that I met somebody that's able to pull it out of me, which is really great. And so I'm going to make more books, put out my poetry more. And the book is called Good Girls Don't Listen.
What is it called?
Good Girls Don't Listen. So
Okay. Okay.
it's about it's actually about me telling my story through those challenges that I expressed to you, but about more as a young girl focusing on herself first. You're not saying that you can't have interest in somebody else, but focusing on those things that is developing you into womanhood, with relationships, anything that you go through. And so I kind of put my poetry as well in there. At each stage of my life, I wrote poetry, starting from when I was in fifth grade all the way to now. So all of the art and poetry is in there, the words is in there, mental health, relationships that I've been through that I can tell if I have a daughter, her about, and that she can actually learn from. And other women as well, young girls, that I think that it's important that what I see and what I feel like I can share that I've learned from my father, my mother, my great grandmother, all of them, and I put it all in that book, creatively with poetry and words, just to grab the girls' attention. Sometimes, our attention is so lost because we're so distracted with everything else. But my goal is in that book to grab the girls' attention, um, to kind of take them by the hand, even when they feel like they're, lost.
That's
Or
beautiful. From you being very, very isolated to now finding a way to tell your story, and now wanting to do it through something that, brings you joy, which is poetry. I also saw that you are a graphic designer.
yes, as
Yeah.
well.
So do you do graphics for t-shirts, for apparel, or for anything?
Anything. I went to the Art Institute of Houston, so I graduated from there with my associates. So they taught us how to take what we do and make it to a business, and that's how I created my business called Half Art Creations. So I take the graphics, I can put it on shirts, logos and things for your car. I can do, it's a list of things that I'm able to learn to do.
What software do you use to do your logo creations?
Right now, I'm using Canva, but I'm also able to use Adobe Illustrator, the suite as well. Yeah, so I do that, and sometimes I sketch as well and take it and turn it digitally.
That's pretty awesome. I know what it's like to create from scratch. I didn't go to school for graphic designing, but I've learned how to do that from scratch through the computer to come up with my graphics and fonts and everything. And it's a lot of
Yeah,
work, but when you really enjoy it, it really kicks in, and you can make pretty much anything and everything. So that's amazing, and I'm glad that that we have that in common as well.
yes.
Well, Arteja, I want to thank you for giving me the space, for coming in here, for being brave, for finding the power within yourself to tell your story. I know that anybody that is listening, they're going to, this story is going to resonate either through somebody that they know or something that might have happened to them in the past. So I want to thank you for coming in here and saying yes
Yeah,
when I, and also for you being so consistent and reminding me too that you and I had met and we had made a promise to each other. So I want to thank you for that, for you know making sure that that happened. And so our audience will be able to find you. Please tell us tell us how they can find you on Instagram, or they can find you. Also, give us the name for your YouTube channel, because you have one
oh
too.
yes. So on Instagram, you can find me at Artasia Janae. It's ARTAIJAH, and Janae is JANAE. On YouTube, it's The Art of Tajanae. So Tajanae is TAIJAJANAE. So
Okay.
yes.
And I will go ahead and add it to the live, so that way they can find you. And I will also be able to share this live with you, so that way you can have it on yours, and they can read it. I mean, they can read it. They can listen to it at their own leisure.
Mhm.
So we'll go ahead and do that. Again, thank you so much for coming here and for talking to
And
us.
thank
Okay.
I'm so glad you made this platform. It's so beautiful, and I thank you so much. I'm so glad we met. So
Me too. So to end, I will say that no matter what you're facing, your story is not over. Healing isn't linear, but every step you take is powerful. Just like Artesia, you have the ability to turn your challenges into change, not just for yourself, but for those watching you rise. Keep going, keep creating, and remember, every time you show up as your full, authentic self, you're breaking the cycle. Thank you again, and good night.
thank you.